Test, 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 test. Hello, 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 hello. There we go. Hello. Let's see. Uh, yep. There it goes. Okay, it's here. It's here. It's working. There we go. We're back. We're back. Technical difficulties this morning. Where do I want to put this? I'm gonna put it here. Is that too far away? It probably should be closer to my face. Microphones always sound best the closer they are to your mouth. We need some music. And then we need to alert the Discord people that we're hanging out. I also need to drink some water. Where'd my water go? Did I not bring it over here? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. This is just one big hot mess this morning. Get it together. Get it together, man. Let's see. Lofigenerator.com. Okay. And then, let's see. We'll share this into the Discord. All right, and then I got to run and get my water. I'll be right back. I should probably put some text up on the screen, shouldn't I? Getting water. BRB. Excuse me. What's up, Steve1E? How are you? I'm sure you're being productive as always. Probably already got your workout in, huh? Nothing much. Just came home. Nice, dude. Well, I'm hoping you're having a good Friday so far. I'm stuck at the desk at the moment. Stuck working. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know? It just is what it is. I'm looking forward to the weekend though. And got 500 grams of cow protein. That's a lot of freaking protein. That's a lot of cow. You've eaten a lot of cow lately. We did legs on a Friday? Damn. I say like do legs on Monday. Like get them out of the way early. Sometimes you don't have a choice, though, right? They fall when they fall. I love cow meat and pork and lamb. I'm not a big fan of lamb. I don't eat a ton of pork other than like bacon. I do like red meat. Beef, chicken. Lamb to me just is like it. I don't know if gamey is the term. Uh, or maybe it's just the lamb I've had. The lamb I have eaten, I haven't liked just the way it's prepared. Maybe I just haven't had it cooked right. Lamb is your favorite? Yeah. Maybe I need your recipe, Stewie. Maybe I just need your recipe. Maybe we need a recipes channel on the Discord. Let's see. Most people get turned off by the smell. That depends on what environment sheep was. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. You learn something new every day. Stewie, Google Jagangentina Ra. I can't even say that word. Okay, cool. So I'll Google it. You're introducing me to all the Serbian cuisine, Stewie. Router, can I ask you ASP.NET Core question? Sure, Router. I'll be happy to try to answer it, man. If I don't know it, I will be totally transparent and just tell you I don't know. But I'd be happy to answer if I can. Oh, okay. It's like on a spit. Nice. Yeah, I bet that's delicious. Like roasted on a spit. I like it. I guess I need to come to Serbia and try all the Serbian cuisine. Router, how do you handle model validation? So, Router, are you talking about like when, like in the context of like an HTTP request to like a controller endpoint? Is that what you're talking about, Router? Adil. Hi, Steven. Suggest some websites where I can practice and learn JavaScript. Adil, the place I send everybody if they're wanting to learn kind of web development stuff, I think the best place to start is a website called freecodecamp.org. That's the place I would start. And I don't mean to be like a shill for Free Code Camp. I just that's the curriculum I followed early on when I was learning to code, and I felt like it was very helpful. There's other great people out there making great JavaScript educational content. Like Wes Boss has great stuff. Um, Web Dev Simplified on YouTube has great stuff. But if you want something that's kind of structured and is really going to walk you through kind of like, I don't know anything or I know very little to know a lot, that's probably where I would go. Adil Hawk. I mean, practice exercises. Oh, so you mean like katas? Adil, are you saying like leak code type stuff? Because obviously there's Code Wars. That's a fun one. Obviously LeetCode's the big popular one. Um, so router, to answer your question about model validation, so when it comes to like your classic MVC routers, or not routers, controllers, uh, it probably the easiest way is to just use the built-in validation attributes, have like a separate class that represents kind of the DTOs, or in an MVC, you'd probably refer to them as view models, right? So separate classes that are specific to your views. If we're talking about like classic MVC controller view MVC pattern, and then there's a built-in static class called model state that you can call in the action and just check if it's valid or not. And you can just use existing validation attributes, right? Like you can apply like required, you can apply string length. That would probably be the simplest way to go. I don't write a ton of MVC applications in .NET. Usually, if I'm gonna build a web app or something with the front end, it's gonna be client side. It's not gonna be server side rendered with Razor pages and whatnot. I mean, there's definitely cases for that. It's just not what I typically use. If you're using something like if you're building like APIs, like if you're using something like minimal API in ASP, or I mean, I guess that's not ASP.NET, but if you're using minimal APIs in .NET Core, my preferred way to handle model validation or request validation in that world is to, again, have separate DTOs to represent your request, or separate models to represent your request. And then I like to use either Fluent validation, which is a NuGet library, or I'll just use the built-in iValidatable object. Router controllers without views, just JSON. The validator needs to query against the database. Oh, interesting. So it's not just pure. Okay, so you actually need to call into the database. That's, yeah, I would probably, if you have to call into the database, I'm not a fan of putting that into like some sort of Fluent, like a validator or an iValidator, an object that does the validation, because I don't like the idea of passing in an injected service from the controller into like a validating model. I don't know, that just seems weird to me. I would probably just leave that in the controller action, or I would move that into some sort of service. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you definitely could. You could definitely do. You could still do like like I was talking about, where if you're returning or you're receiving a request or a DTO or something. Yeah, I guess what's the, like, give me the particular scenario router that you're doing there where you need to query the database to do validation. Are you like checking if a user already exists type of scenario? Like, is there a user already in the database with this username? Steve1E. Well, Steven, I hope you know you're always welcome if you decide on coming. Yeah, for sure, man. I'd love to do some traveling around the world. There's so many places I'd like to go to that I haven't been able to go to. So I'm adding Serbia to the list. Ducky Dev, hi. What's up, Ducky Dev? How are you? But yeah, I guess router to go back. Let's see. I have a service layer. I'm thinking iValidator object 2. Let me write up what's being validated. Yeah, I see. I like the iValidator. It's an iValidator or iValidatable object. When a user gets created, it has to check if the email domain is associated with the tenant. Yeah, I mean, personally, router, I would just leave that in the action. If it was me, I would just like, yeah, multi-tenant organization. Yeah, I probably would just leave. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that I don't know if I would hide that away into the validate the whatever model implements that I think it's iValidatable object. Yeah, iValidatable object. I don't even think that interface has an asynchronous method on it. Does it? Let me look. I'm looking at the doc right now. Yeah, it's just a synchronous validate method that you have to implement. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the iValidatable object would just validate that there's an email in the request. It's not it's a valid email. It's not empty. It's not null. It's an actual proper email. And then in the actual action, like I would have whatever, your repository or service, whatever layer you're injecting into the controller, I would have that do the asynchronous work to go to the database and figure out if this email is associated with that tenant. And then right there in the action, I would just return the right result, right? So in that, bad request. That's my opinion. Because if you put it in the model that implements iValidator object, then it's going to have to be synchronous. You're going to have to do some sort of synchronous work. And it also, to me, looks strange to have to pass in an injected service into a method call. That seems weird, personally. I think that's actually a pattern. What is that called? The double dispatch pattern. No, that's not the right pattern. But yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion, router. I don't think what you're thinking is wrong. Well, like what you're thinking isn't wrong. That's not probably what I would do. Like, I'll give you an example, router, of a common scenario that I've done in a lot of applications, right? Is like making sure that duplicate users don't get created either based on email or username. Like, that's an example of validation, but I don't put that in my, like, validator. I just leave that either in the action, the controller action itself, or that lives in some sort of service layer logic, and if it happens, I throw an exception up, and the controller handles whatever that exception is and returns the right result. So yeah, that's probably what I would do. Steve1E, have you watched the Primogen stream when Judges came? I did. I watched that, router. I'm thinking service layer. Yeah, I like that idea too, router, especially if you have other things like that you need to do asynchronously. It probably makes sense to just have like the validator make sure that the data coming in is like, they pass the right arguments, they have, nothing's null, nothing's empty, it's a valid email. then pass that off to a service, and then the service can handle more of the asynchronous, like what I would call like that's more of like business logic, I guess. Um, and then the service can, I don't know what you're using, if you're using exceptions for control flow or a result pattern, but then the service can take care of letting the controller know what it should do, what should be the return, the response status code, and all that good stuff. Man, I sure do love building APIs in .NET. It just really is an enjoyable experience. I wish more people would try it. Router, yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I throw an invalid email domain exception, but I was hoping to see if there was a better way to map to the DTO what input was incorrect, i.e., user email, bad email object, or bad email domain. Yeah, that's a good point, because then you're sort of um let me look at, I think I've done something like, let me look real quick. See, when I haven't, can you tell me what happened? Basically, they had the judge come in, and they dressed up like as like medieval. They all had medieval costumes on. They played the game, joked around. It was a lot of fun. Maybe something around bind properties. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to leverage any type of model binding. Um, once you get down into once you're doing things down into the service layer. Uh, let me look at, because I've done something like this with an app I built not too long ago. Yeah, the costumes were pretty good, Steve. You should, they were really funny. They were like medieval, like lords and kind of like jester looking. Yeah, it's very good. It's been a fun week of listening to their streams. Let's see. This is the API that I was thinking of. Is it middleware that has this? No. Where is this? Hold on. I know I have something like this. Because like what I'm thinking, like router, what I'm thinking in my head is if you have a common way you throw the exception, right, and you have strongly typed exceptions that have a message or a message within them, at the controller level, right, once the service throws that exception up to the top, you could hang a method off that exception, right, that the controller just calls, like if the exception has a common interface or common base class, that you could call, that could be something like to DTO or to air, right? That way, for example, in your case, what you're saying, where no matter what exception your service layer throws up to the controller, you get the right air DTO, the right formatted, this consistent structure of those responses. Yeah, they inherit domain exception. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of thinking, and I did that recently in it wasn't exactly like that, but basically I was using a results pattern, so I wasn't using exceptions for control flow, but I could imagine if you're using exceptions for control flow, you have some sort of global middleware, right, that's catching these exceptions. and then you could have some logic in there to say, okay, if it when exception is of type whatever, right? Then pick the right status code based on the strongly typed exception, maybe, and then each exception could implement like a two DTO or a two error response or something like that. Um, but I think tapping into any sort of model binding, I could be totally wrong, router. So just, I mean, if you come up with a nice clean way using that existing built-in uh, model validation or model binding that's part of the framework, I think that's wonderful. I don't know off the top of my head how you would do that with like asynchronous work like that without having to like pass services, injected services around. And St1E, do you drink? I don't drink, or I don't really do any type of mind altering substances except for coffee or any type of caffeinated beverage. Not because I think drinking's bad or anything like that. It's never interested in me. I know I've implemented a global middleware like that before, but I can't remember what application I did that on. Router, but I'm hoping that helps. Router helps you think about it. Because I do agree, it would be kind of annoying if you had to like handcraft every error response, right? That a service, you know, handcraft every error response for every exception that might come up from your service layer. St1E, have you just never started drinking? Or yeah, I've never. Yeah, I may have had a sip of a beer one time when I was little, like, when I was a kid growing up for my dad, like, hey, take a sip of this beer, type of thing. But never started, basically right around that time in high school, like, freshman, sophomore year, where all my friends and stuff started to get into kind of partying and drinking, and they went one way and I just didn't follow. I never got involved in it. And then in college, it never was a thing for me, and just not really my scene. But I understand for a lot of people it is, and that's totally cool too. No judgment, Just just a difference in how people like to spend their time. Like my Friday night tonight is going to involve writing code. So I mean, just people like to do different things on their Friday nights. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's like, and people are like, "Well, have you ever tried it?" And I'm like, "Well, no, not really." So, and then they're like, "Well, how do you know you don't like it?" And it's like, well, maybe I would like it, but it just doesn't interest me. And honestly, the idea of like being in a state where you're not totally aware of yourself and others, and you're not totally in control of your own actions, that kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sound good to me. Siwani, well, you don't just drink in parties. Well, and that's a good point, Siwani. It's very true. Some people just drink to enjoy it, and so yeah, that's very fair. I should not paint it all in that light. Router, I'm working on TTX GG all tonight. I'm from Ruby on Rails, and this is my first ASP.NET Core project. Well, that's awesome, Router. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing is being in being a little nerd on Friday night with my code. It's cool to see you come over from Ruby on Rails to try ASP.NET Core. I think you'll. I have not written Ruby or written a Ruby on Rails app, so probably difficult for me to say you'll like it based on your prior experience. But I hope that you enjoy. I hope that you enjoy it because I really do like the modern .NET ecosystem. Steve, like we drink one Rajika every morning when we wake up and like a bear with lunch. Nice. Yeah, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Network Bib. Hello, how are you doing, Network Bib? Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you coming back. Where are you working in right now? So I'm actually at home. So I pretty much always work from home. Occasionally I'll go to our office. We do have an office. Our company is all remote, but we have a headquarters, and I live close enough to the headquarters to go to the office if I want to or need to. But for the most part, I just work from home. As far as what I'm working on, I'm just doing quality stuff. So I've been trying to reproduce a bug for the last couple days. Just a smorgasbord of tasks. Meant work. Yeah, that's what I thought maybe you meant working on too. Nothing like personal at the moment. I'm actually working. So this afternoon I will do some side project work over my lunch, which I don't really know what I'm gonna do. I do want to spend more time on the building a large language model because it shouldn't take me like 2 months to get through that book. That book is like 6 or 7 chapters long. I just need to dedicate more hours to it. Excuse me. Network Bib. I ruined my desk yesterday because of that hard drive. Is this different than the USB stick, Network Bib? Is this some other hardware snafu that you're struggling with? that is. Oh no, okay. It is. It's the same thing. Still crashing out about it. Yeah, yeah. Yes, you were crashing out. I mean, I don't want to laugh at your pain, but yeah, that was funny. Have any of you guys may have not, have any of you guys ever worked with like generator functions or like iterables in JavaScript, like implementing your own iterable or your own async iterable? I want to make a video about those in JavaScript, TypeScript. Curious if you guys have used them before. Stevie, did you know that people exist to become like more sober when they? That's pretty crazy. For them, it's being drunk in reverse. Wow, that's pretty nuts. I'd have to see that. Alex, yo, what's up, Alex? How are you? Router, I have. Stevie, hi, Alex. Yes. Alex, yes. Yeah. So I think that yeah, what Router said, they're not too popular. Network Bib, gotta go by CNR. So Router, that's why I want to make a video about them, because I feel like especially async iterables, like that seems kind of OP. Like I can think of especially for dealing with external sources of data, right? Like if you're querying data from an API or querying data from a database and you want to be able to page over it. Like I made a video about that for C#. And so I kind of want to make a video about that for TypeScript and JavaScript. But I don't know, it seems like it could be a really powerful thing if you know how to use it. But I'm guessing it's not super popular just because a lot of people don't know about it or like know how to implement it. Stiwani, it's something with how their stomach processes alcohol, I believe. Oh, yeah, I learned about this in college. We studied this in my biochemistry course. It's called, is it, it's something dehydrogenase is the name of the enzyme. Yeah, I think it's called alcohol dehydrogenase. And this is the enzyme that breaks down ethanol in your body. Uh, like there's even like a medical condition, like people who have a deficiency in this enzyme, um, causes problems when they consume alcohol. Router pagination, well, I guess I think that's a word, router. But I guess what I'm talking about is like, you know how like if you have a big collection of data, whether it's coming from an API or it's coming from a database, typically if you're going to pull that data into memory, you're not going to load up the whole collection, right? Or like an API that you're calling is not going to return every piece of data in one request. That's just not practical. So a lot of times it's going to be returned with some type of paging algorithm, right? Whether you're using limits or limits and offsets, or page based or cursor based, where you're just going to do while loop over all the pages, right? But it seems like you could use an async iterable in JavaScript to do that. Just abstract that away with an async iterable. D1E, it's super rare, most common in Nordic countries. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. The human body is wild. Genetics are wild. Nikki says no. What do you mean, Nikki? That's just full stop. Just full stop, no. It's time to stand up against myself against those damn errors. Yeah, that would be kind of a funny command line tool, wouldn't it? Like whenever your application throws an error, you just type no. And then the command line, let's say this command line tool, it will parse the error and it will send it to an LLM and tell you how to fix it. Stephanie, would you rather have to say yes or no to everything, but people don't know about it? Oh man, that's tough. Because that's because it's binary, because it's yes and no. People could. Oh, okay, I see. So people don't know. I think I would probably want to say yes to everything, because most of the time people ask you in the affirmative, right? Most of the time people ask you, hey, are you hungry? Would you like to eat? Right? They don't ask you, hey, do you not like to eat? So I think I would pick yes to everything. But I can see how that would end badly too. COD newbie, does streaming help you Work longer. It doesn't help me work longer. I work too much as it is. You know, I'm a salaried employee, but I work way too much as it is. My boss is always telling me that I need to find more balance. Nikki, how often do you have linter problems? Not very often. Although everyone has linter problems if you're using ESLint and you're moving to ESLint flat config version 9. Damn, that might be the most painful like developer tool migration I've ever experienced. The first time I tried to do it, I just said fuck it, I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna stick on the old version of ESLint until other people figure this out. C1E, yeah, so people won't export it. Yeah, if people don't know that you're always saying yes, I'd probably say yes. Gamer, are you the guy who do the workout? I seen you like 3 or 4 days before. Gamer, sometimes I do work out while I stream. Yep. Sometimes I'll do office hours where I sit down and chat with people like this, and then sometimes I'll be working out in chat. But I've been using my lunch to stream, right? So like, if I'm gonna stream an office hour, I need to keep working while I'm also streaming, and I can't work out and stream at the same time. If only. Router, LOL. Nikki says, "Yep, that's where I am." Yeah, the dude. I don't know why they made it so painful. I don't know why they made the it's version 9, ESLint version 9, right? God, I don't know why they made that so. I mean, I think it's because they basically said we're gonna break whatever we want in version 9, basically, from a configuration standpoint. Like basically everyone has to start over almost. It seems like. I'm sure the team wouldn't say that. I'm sure the team is like, we made migration very easy and hard, you know, and you just have a skill issue. And maybe that is the case, but I don't know. I'm sure it'll get easier though as more people use version 9, figuring out how to get it set up and move things around. Waku Waku, yo Steven, are you coding right now? I'm not. I'm not doing any code. I'm basically clicking buttons and trying to make a piece of software do something that it shouldn't do. Router, do you have a stream delay set? I don't have one set. If there is one, it could be maybe my internet. I see I am dropping some frames actually at the moment. Looks like I've dropped 0.1% of my frames. So maybe my internet connection is not so great today. Steve1E, by the way, I converted my Ansible bash scripts, so much less code, so much more and much more readable. Also packed all of different scripts to a single file. Oh, nice, man. Well, I'm glad you got that done. I'm sure that was a big chore that was hanging over your head. So I'm glad you got that done. Oh, YouTube just has a delay in general. Okay, that's good to know. I'm pretty fairly noob content creator, so it's good to know these things. Waku Waku, what do you think about Laravel 12? Waku Waku, I don't know that username. It sounds funny to say. I don't actually use Laravel, and I've never written any PHP. Don't know how to. Taylor Ortwell though, he's like from my neck of the woods. So where I grew up was, let's see, Taylor lives in Not Otwell, or well, Otwell, right? He live. Where does he live? Yeah, he's in Little Rock, and I grew up in Joplin, Missouri, so we're like from the same kind of neck of the woods, relatively, so in the country. But he seems like a really nice guy. It seems like the Laravel community is very nice people. But I've just never used it, so I don't have much of an opinion. Nikki, been stuck at that install for like 30 minutes. That's a bad sign, Nikki. St1e, it was actually much easier than I thought. It took me like 20 minutes. Well, that's fantastic, dude. It's awesome when a task like that turns out to be, you know, lickety split. So that's great. Maybe I need to try Laravel. Maybe I just need to. I'm gonna add that to my list of things to do on stream at some point. I guess I first need to figure out how to write PHP and then try Laravel. I do think the one thing I've from watching content around Laravel, it does seem like Laravel is much more a real full stack framework. I will say that. Router, will you be on the Discord server tonight? Yeah, I'll be around, Router, for sure. St1e, no, Nikki. Just start. Oh, because Nikki said I just need to start using cursor. Yeah, Nikki, just go full vibe coder. Just do it. Waku Waku, I'm here. PHP still used on government. I don't know why they still use PHP. I mean, people say PHP is good now. I mean, people say like the modern PHP is not like your grandma's PHP. So, I mean, I'm open to trying it. I mean, I think Laravel seems like a very well thought out framework. So, you know, I would never. I hate to speak on stuff I've never used. You know. Or at least I hate to denigrate, you know, or speak poorly about something that I've never used. St1e, finally no more YAML in my dot files. Yeah, that's probably a good feeling. Nikki, a soldier has been oh no, we've lost one to the dark side. The vibe coders claimed one more. Do any of you guys watch Star Wars, or the more recent Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus? That epic scene where it's like he's like, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." We're having the same experience with Nikki here. Nikki's like, "It wasn't you. It was E.S. Lint." Going back to is there like a vibe coder salvation hotline? Don't do it, come back. Oh, okay, so here's how I'll act. St1e was talking about the Primeagen streams this past couple weeks. And it was really funny to watch them try to vibe code. But then they're all really good developers, right? So at like every turn of the corner, they'd be like, "Get out of here, cursor! Let me do it." Yeah. So I think as far as AI replacing people who know how to code, I don't think anyone's at risk quite yet. No, Nikki's gone. Vibe coded up. Which, not to, if anybody's hanging out here that does like to vibe code, I don't have anything against that. I just don't necessarily know if it's It's a real alternative to being able to know how to code at this point. I think it can take you. I think it can get you from 0 to 1 pretty well. I think you're gonna struggle though after you get there. That cough killed me. Nikki, I'm gonna tell Cursor, you are the expert. You can do this. Steven, funniest part was the making up stories to tell Cursor, so it actually, yes, it was. Because it's funny, because at the end of the day, right, it's a word calculator, and you're trying to figure out what the right input is to get the output you want. Pablo. Sup? What's up, Pablo? How are you, man? Good to see you again. We're just chilling actually. Although, I'm only live for another like 9 minutes or something like that. Yeah, Nikki, it just needs a little encouragement. My grandma's dying. I need to figure this problem out to save her. That's the best. That's too good. Please, it's urgent. Oh my goodness. Uh, that's making me think of all the kinds of like crazy things you could say to an LLM to try to like create urgency. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you for the good laugh this morning. That was good. I really appreciate that one. This is EST 503. It's kind of cool. Like whenever people react with emojis, I like seeing that. That's pretty cool. It shows up all the way in OBS, which is kind of crazy. That'd probably be a fun project to build sometime, like a plugin for OBS. I don't know what the hell I'd build, but now the emojis are flooding in. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nikki says, yeah, that's me. I appreciate it. I will. I'm happy to have people spam the emojis. See when he not only you, Nikki. So it's more than one person. Well, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you guys. Yeah, Nikki, you're part of the dark side now. Now you're waiting on Cursor to install, huh? And it's kind of been a long week for me at work. Like I've been working all week to unbury myself from my list of things to do, and so far I've made very little dent in it. Nikki, I'm gonna use Replit and V0. Oh man, Giga Chad over here. V0 does make some pretty UI though. You know, like V0 has a very V0 is like a it has like a very specific design palette, right? Uh, and I guess that's probably because it's primarily using Shad. What is it? Shad CN. Um, but yeah, like V0. It's like you funny. You look at the internet now, and you kind of see like it's a lot of the newer sites and stuff people make have that look to it. Um, I like V0. It's a great starting point. It really does make some pretty screens. Yeah, Shad CN. Yep. And that component library is wonderful. I'm gonna vibe like a smoke. I do start all my projects with Shad CN anyway. Yeah, like sometimes I get kind of stubborn, and I'm like, I'm gonna build all my components myself. And then as I'm sitting there recreating the same paged table to display data for the umpteenth time, I'm like, why did I do this? Someone has already solved this problem. I wish there was a Shad CN. I don't. Am I saying that right? Shad CN for Vue. Does anybody know if there is? I've actually never looked. Oh, there is. That's awesome. Well, I know what I'm going to use in my next project. I've been writing mostly Vue Vue front ends lately. Verdant Gaming Corner. Hello. How are you? Nikki, DeepSeek gonna carry me through the airs. Let's go DeepSeek. Give it up for our favorite code. No, what our favorite coding assistant, DeepSeek. Use Codium for plugin. Nice, man. Go for it. Waka Waka, made in China. Yeah, I mean DeepSeek's very impressive. It's just that it has that big question mark around it. Although I was listening to a podcast on an episode of the Lex Friedman podcast, and he had a couple guys on there that I think they're like AI market analysts or something, and they were speaking very highly of the work that DeepSeek's done. So maybe the broader AI community has embraced them a little bit more than I thought. 7 AIs later, still can't deploy successfully. Yeah, that is actually a pretty big hurdle, right? Getting like writing code and having it run locally and actually getting that onto a server and having it work, two very different things. Pablo, I haven't used Gemini for coding much. I'll have to give that a try. All right, fellas. The office hour has come. Steel and he's still me tapping. Well, I appreciate that. Waka Waka. Anyway, I developed AI too, guys, but now still in local V. um, yeah. All right, I'm gonna head out of here. I'm gonna go do some more work, but I'll be back. I should be back about 2 o'clock, Central Standard. So if you're around and you want to hang out with me while I'm either gonna write Python and learn about building large language models, or I'm gonna learn about how to build web apps in Go. One of the two. Since it's Friday, I'm not gonna do anything really productive, other than try to make me somewhat more knowledgeable about something. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Friday. If I don't see you again, or if it's already Saturday for you, I hope you have a good rest of your Saturday. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Thanks, Nikki. Thank you. All right, guys.